Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's going to be the last show of 2020. What a year it has. We said on Monday it's been a year full of Mondays, but today is Wednesday. Happy Wednesday. Bryce Kuhn, Ralph Leary, alongside the GOAT, Will Maness. Will, you played golf pretty well today. I have to give it to you. You hit some nice shots. Ralph didn't play with us, but Ralph will hit some nice shots, and they were pretty impressive, I have to say.
I get it far. Can't hit it straight, though.
I think it was we couldn't get it to the green. Like, we just, I don't know. It was bad. I mean, I had a couple good shots, but we'll see. But listen, guys, college football is nearing the end. In a weird year, we didn't think we were going to have it. We do now, and we've had a great season. I don't think that anyone would have drawn up any differently having Alabama and Clemson possibly in the national championship at the end, even without COVID. But guys, season's coming to a close. We have the New Year's Six that are going to start off tonight with the Cotton Bowl. Florida and Oklahoma. We're going to take a look at those. We're also going to take a look at we'll dive into a little bit of the Auburn game. It's not a New Year's Six Bowl, but it's the Citrus Bowl, and you can kind of tell us if Auburn's going to be running. Well, is Auburn going to be running any type of a different offense?
No, that was asked to Bo Nix today, which, in my opinion, is a stupid question because Brian Harsin has already said it multiple times.
Multiple times.
He's not coaching. He'll be present, but he's not coaching the bowl game.
I'll just be in the box, just chilling.
Yeah, he'll be in a box. And listen, who wouldn't want to be a box in Orlando, Florida? I mean, take the kids to Disney World. You're from Boise. I mean, to go ahead and take the kids to Disney World. They hadn't been, maybe. Go see what Orlando has to have. You never know. I mean, he might have gone to Disneyland, but we're not sure. But listen, we're going to be taking a look. Make sure to check us out. You see the link below scrolling down. Sign up today at thecrowdedbooth.com. You can get the latest high school, college, and we do some professional stuff. We don't dabble in the NFL, but we'll occasionally dabble into the Brave stuff. Listen, guys, we have a brand new year starting off, I guess, 2 days from now. But our first show will be, in fact, be Monday. We got to announce our new show schedule, and I hope that these guys know the new show schedule, so we will as well. It's going to be Mondays and Wednesdays. We're going to have our live shows and then a podcast that'll be pre-recorded. Will be coming out every single Friday with a guest, and we already have our first guest lined up. It's going to be a ton of fun. Those two guys don't know who it is, but it's going to be a fun one. I think, guys, I'll leave it at this one. It might be the third and final member of Knockahoma Nation that'll be joining us for the first podcast episode of 2021. But guys, as we get into the show here, what is your favorite thing about 2020? We got to be a little bit thankful because there have been some awesome things. What's your favorite thing about 2020 that happened, I guess, in 2020? Ralph, go first.
Well, I have a few, but I'm going to just stick with one.
Okay.
Got a new job this year.
There you go.
It may make me wake up early in the mornings, but it has helped me out a lot this year.
Yeah.
So very happy for that. And definitely working with you guys.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, I think what we've been able to do with this has been a lot of fun. Will, for you, best thing that happened to you in 2020?
Yeah, I got to keep my job through all this. I was very, very, very lucky and very blessed to keep my job. And I don't know if we're going to get sports related. We are a sports show, I guess. The Braves won a playoff series for the first time in 20 years, however long it's been.
Guys, as much as that hurt to watch the Braves, that was a fun playoff series for them.
Yeah.
Ralph, I'll throw it back to you. What's your best sports moment of 2020? Was it the Braves and watching their kind of run, or what was it? Oh,
I mean, I'd say, yeah, definitely the run. I think one of my favorite ones was watching Bryce Wilson pitch in that series. No one really expected him to do what he did. I mean, I'm pretty sure he went 6 strong innings, pitched the best game he'll probably ever pitch in his career. I'm not saying he'll do bad. I'm just saying that, I mean, that's the biggest game he's ever had to pitch in probably for right now, and he stepped up to the plate, literally. So that was probably my favorite moment this year.
He shoved. That pitching performance. The Braves needed that one, no doubt about it. Baseball is still waiting to see what happened. Meanwhile, the Padres are rocking the trade world. The guys, they brought in Yu Darvish. We actually closed the show on Monday with bringing in Yu Darvish. Before we get to the college football talk, I want to get your thoughts. Will, they bring in Yu Darvish. I think I read the rotation to you guys. I think it was after the show on Monday that they could have if they would have brought in Darvish. That's a nasty rotation. Does that make them the front runner in the NL West, or are you still giving that nod to the defending World Series champion now? That's weird to say, the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, no, it's got to be the Dodgers. Padres, much improved, probably the most improved team this winter already. It's been a slow winter so far, but hopefully with the new year coming, there'll be some more free agent signings. But, yeah, Dodgers still the favorite in the NL West, but finally they're getting some real competition from the Padres.
Yeah, they're getting some real competition from the Padres. And listen, you have Tatis Jr. is one of the rising young stars in the game. You have Machado, who kind of elevated his play since he's gotten some better teammates. They have some really nice pieces as well. So I think San Diego is going to be a team that, unfortunately, with how talented they are, listen, they're going to challenge for the NL West, no doubt about it, but they're definitely going to have their hands full and hands cut out or their work cut out for them. They're going to really have to try to find one of those wild card spots. But baseball is, guys, I wish I could sit here and say that baseball, man, pitchers and catchers report in like 34 or 40-something days, but we have no idea. We don't know what in the world is going to happen with baseball, but we hope that pitchers and catchers will report and we will have a season to talk about. But meanwhile, it's going to be college football. We're wrapping up. The first game we're going to take a look at is the Cotton Bowl, Florida versus Oklahoma. Guys, this is a matchup between a team that lost the SEC title in devastating fashion. And I think we all went into that game thinking that Alabama was just going to steamroll through Florida. Florida, instead, they come through and they mount a comeback late, too little, too late. They're taking on an Oklahoma team that won the Big 12, got vengeance against Iowa State. Ralph, for you got Florida or Oklahoma, and why do you pick them out? Remember, Kyle Pitts is out, and also Marco the Shoe Coleman is not going to be playing in the game for Florida. I'm sorry, not Marco Coleman. Marco Coleman is the defensive coordinator,
and,
is the defensive coach for Georgia Tech. I apologize.
Kadarius Toney's out as well.
Kadarius Toney out as well. So Florida has some key pieces out. Trask is playing. Ralph, give me real quick, who do you think wins this game and why?
Well, first, I think Oklahoma has the best chance just because they started out really slow this year. They definitely had to fix some things on offense and their defense especially. They've improved every game this year. I give it to Oklahoma for the fact that you don't have to see Kyle Pitts or Kadarius Toney. That's Trask's best two options he has. Now, not saying he's going to do terrible. He'll still do great, but I still give the lean to Oklahoma with Spencer Rattler and if I say this, I think it's Marvin Mims. If I'm correct, the wide receiver for Oklahoma is a very talented freshman. And the running game in Oklahoma is still pretty good. Florida really hasn't shown me a strong running game this year, so I give it to Oklahoma, and that's just because you don't have to worry about Marco Wilson throwing your shoe anywhere.
That is still one of the craziest plays in the world, and it's tough to imagine if Florida would have beat Alabama and pulled off the miracle, how the Shoegate would have held them back. We'll throw it over to you now. Florida, like Ralph said, they don't impress me with just pure running the football, but they do use those running backs out of the backfield. Georgia fans have nightmares about that. Will, for you, what is the key? Maybe if Florida does want to win, or are you feeling like the Sooners are just kind of the hot team right now, coming off their Big 12 title?
Yeah, I'm going Oklahoma. I think they're the hotter team right now. Like Ralph said, they've improved every game this year. And I would go as far as to say, even if Florida had Kyle Pitts and Kadarius Toney and Marco Wilson, Oklahoma would beat them anyway. I mean, remember, Oklahoma preseason was top 5, top 10 as well. You know, they got off their slow start, but they're really rolling right now.
They're rolling, and I think one of the big things is they're hot. I mean, it's almost when you come into this, you don't want to back into a bowl game, no doubt about it. Georgia's seen that. Auburn's seen that. Coming off a conference championship loss can be detrimental. They do have their leader in Kyle Trask still playing, but I'm going to have to go with the Sooners. We're going clean sweep here. Sooners all three ways. Listen, Spencer Rattler seems like a man on the mission. They've really cleaned some things up. Lincoln Riley's going to have those guys ready to play. And anytime you play an SEC team, when you're one of these teams, you got to understand the SEC team, you're going to have an X on your back, a target on your back, realizing that this is one of the teams that people thought was one of the tops of the nation. If Oklahoma wins this, not only does this give them a good taste to end on here in 2020, but also 2021 carries over into potential some momentum. So yeah, that is a good one. We're going to take a look at the next one here. It's going to be the Fiesta Bowl, Oregon versus Iowa State. This is probably the one that I know least about, to be honest with you guys. Iowa State obviously had the regular season win over Oklahoma. They now are going to be playing Oregon in the Fiesta Bowl. Oregon, a team that didn't even win their division in the Pac-12, but now they won the Pac-12, and now that they're going to be playing in the Fiesta Bowl, Will, I'll start off with you this time. Oregon, Iowa State. Does Brock Purdy, does he have enough to get a big New Year's Six win for an Iowa State program? This would be honestly a massive win for recruiting for them and just for a program type of win over a team like Oregon in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Yeah, I really like Iowa State. But like you just mentioned, they don't have really any experience in bowl games as big as this one. And Oregon does. Oregon's played in a lot of big games. Bowl games or not. Like, remember last year they opened up with Auburn. A lot of those players that played in that game are going to be playing in this one. Oregon, they create turnovers on defense, but I just don't think they have enough offense. If Iowa State can take care of the ball, they should win. Remember in the Big 12 championship, Iowa State really lost that game because of 3 interceptions. They hung with Oklahoma. They were scoring with them. They just had 3 turnovers that cost them the game.
Turnovers will indeed kill you. Ralph, when you look at this Oregon team, they had a head coach that many thought was on his way out, and then Oregon came in with that big offer, maybe from Phil Knight, and Nike might have helped out with that one. But, Ralph, when you look at this team, Oregon, they've been there. They've been in big games. They know what it takes to kind of win these games. Other hand, Iowa State, kind of the newcomer to the party. How do you feel about this matchup, and who do you have?
Well, I think I have Iowa State, and I think it's because Iowa State has a better run game. Breece Hall is one of my top running backs in the country, and he's very underrated because no one really knows who he is. He has over almost 1,300, I think 1,400 yards rushing this year. And Oregon's defense really hasn't shown me anything. Almost 30 points allowed this game every year, and every game this year. So I don't see Oregon really beating it down. I think Iowa State's a better team. They've had a little more difficult schedule this year and obviously played more games. You look at a loss to Louisiana Lafayette at the beginning of the year, or Louisiana. That's the beginning of the year. No one knew what was going to happen at the beginning of the year. Everyone was kind of, coming off of 2 to 3 weeks of practice only. So I have Iowa State in this because I think they have a better chance this year because they've played more games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Iowa State. Listen, you talk about that run game. Breece Hall, arguably, if he was playing for a bigger team, maybe a better known team, he would have received maybe more national attention. Breece Hall, one of the top running backs. And I don't know if this is correct or not, but what year is he, and is he eligible for the draft?
Breece Hall, I believe, is a junior.
Man, I'm telling you,
I think that's right. I think he's a junior.
He's a sophomore, actually.
He's a sophomore. So he still has at least one more year, and he'll probably be a favorite next year out of the running back class to be taken somewhere. So
he would be one of the top 3 running backs taken this year, I think, if he could come out.
Well, you have the Najee Harris and Travis Etienne this year, so
yeah,
he have a better chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he'll have a better chance next year, I think,
of
coming out. But you talk about this year, what he could do even coming out. I mean, he might be the 3rd best back, and a team may view him as a better NFL option than the other 2, which Najee Harris and Travis Etienne are having quite some seasons this year. We're taking a look at the next game. The next game we're going to go to is the one we've been talking about all week, the Peach Bowl, Georgia versus Cincinnati. Georgia is going to be wearing black. Cincinnati is going to be wearing red. It's going to be red versus black in Mercedes-Benz with the red versus black stadium seats at home of the Falcons. It's going to be a red and black affair in Atlanta, Georgia. It's going to be a lot of fun. Georgia, Cincinnati.
My nightmare.
Will said he's not even tuning in because Auburn's playing at the same time. But for the Georgia fans, for the Georgia fans watching, for the Georgia fans that'll watch this before the game tomorrow or 2 days from now, I guess. When you look at this matchup, man, this is one that I've gone back and forth all week long. At first, Georgia fans kind of had the same feeling they had heading into the Texas game, the Sugar Bowl 2 years ago. There's guys opting out all over the place, but is it really there? Then you get word of guys like LeCount are really making an effort to play. Jordan Davis is really making an effort to play. There's some other guys that are going to be staying. There are some guys that are leaving, but to the depth is a little bit better than 2 years ago. We talked with Kirby Smart on Monday and Tuesday, and in fact, on Tuesday we talked with him in the offense and Todd Monken. And I'll tell you one thing, guys. Kirby does not let the coordinators talk, and I hate that. And we'll talk about coaching staffs and their philosophies maybe a little bit later in the show. But when you look at these two teams, I think that they're 2 very well coached teams, and this is probably going to be one of the best New Year's Six Bowl matchups outside of those playoff. I think it has the potential to be the closest game we see out of the playoff matchups. Ralph, we'll start with you first. Georgia, Cincinnati. Who do you like, and kind of why, or do you know, or do you what do you like? What are you excited to see in this game?
Well, we talked about it on Monday, and there's a lot of opt-outs for Georgia, and they're losing a lot on their defense. Now, LeCount, if he plays or not, we don't really know yet. I'm pretty sure he's going to play. That's a big step up for Georgia's defense. And Georgia's offense has proven in the past few games that they can move the ball downfield and score points. Now, Cincinnati is my favorite Group of 5 team besides Coastal Carolina. And I know I'm a Group of 5 guy. So I would like to see a really good game. But if Georgia plays like they have in the past few weeks, it could be a bloodbath for Cincinnati. I feel like I'm putting that in good terms. I know Georgia's a very good team, and they haven't played to their full potential this year. I feel like because injuries and bad quarterback play beginning of the year. I'm not going to get into more. I'm not going to beat that down like we have been. I feel like. But I think Georgia found their answer at JT Daniels. They can run the ball better than anyone in the country. I've been saying that all year. And Cincinnati, not very good against the run. So I have Georgia winning this. I don't feel like it'll be a blowout, but it possibly could be.
It could be a blowout, and that's the part that I think people are looking at. The line right now is, I think, is it 7.5 right now, Will? Is that
Just
where it's
7,
still?
I think.
Just 7. Just flat 7. We do have some comments from some people we want to bring in here, and we will indeed. It's going to be a ton of fun to see who's talking to us today. But I'll ask you this, and if this person's watching, then I want them to ask this again, because we have moved on from the Florida-Oklahoma game. But I will say this: if Georgia comes out like they have offensively, it's going to be a very, very long day for Cincinnati. I think that this offense has taken leaps and bounds since that Florida loss. Enter JT Daniels. Todd Monken said they're just able to do more. They really are, and it's not a knock. People forget Stetson Bennett played very, very well up until that Florida game, and he also got drilled on like the second play of the game on the touchdown pass. Okay, so he got hurt. Now, DeJuan Mathis left a lot to be desired. It was a nightmarish situation for Georgia at the quarterback position this year. Will, when you look at this, if Georgia's offense continues on the pace they were, I mean, this could get ugly, not discounting what Desmond Ridder and Cincinnati can do, but can they keep up with the speed, the physicality the SEC has? And we hear that all the time, and people get tired of it, but it's really there, and I think Georgia can exemplify that, and they could really show up on Friday in a big way.
Yeah, I like Georgia in this game, and I like Georgia to cover the 7-point spread. Like you said, it's all the talk. Can Cincinnati keep up? I don't think they can, because they don't have the depth that Georgia has. Their ones on offense and defense, they could probably hang. They could probably play pretty well in the SEC. But when you start rotating guys, those number 2s, those sometimes number 3s that come in, I just don't think they're big or strong or fast enough to hang with Georgia for 4 quarters.
I don't know if they're going to be able to hang with Georgia for 4 quarters, but the thing is, if Georgia gets off to a slow start, that's where you could see Cincinnati take advantage. I don't know if this team, when you look back at what that Texas team had and what they beat Georgia with, they beat Georgia with Sam Ehlinger, who was almost like the reincarnation of Tim Tebow in that game, ran the ball physically all over Georgia. I don't know if Cincinnati will do that. I think Cincinnati is going to try to use their speed. Now, they do have some great backs that get downhill very well. But for this game, I'm going to take the Dogs, and I'm going to take them by maybe 10 to 14 points. I think they score late to kind of pull away. They're going to cover that 7-point spread. Maybe we need to get into talking about spread and see if teams will cover. That would add a whole new dimension to the show. It'd be a lot of fun. The next game we're going to take a look at is going to be the final New Year's Six Bowl, not counting the college football playoff games, is going to be the Orange Bowl. North Carolina and Texas A&M. Now, this is probably the most fun press conference that we got to take part in, and I think that this game is going to be a fun one. And I think that I want both teams to win this game. I really do, because Texas A&M, they're going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder. It's been a long time since they've been in a big bowl game like this. They kind of are starting to arrive in the SEC, feels like, ever since the days of Johnny Manziel. That was almost 8 years ago, guys. That's crazy. When you think about the fact that Johnny Manziel was at A&M 8 to 9 years ago, that's wild. North Carolina, meanwhile, it's a team that had 2 wins 2 seasons ago. Will, we'll start off with you. The Tar Heels are in unfamiliar territory. Mac Brown said it in his press conference. This is something they're not familiar with. Do they get blinded by the spotlight and Kellen Mond goes down as historically he's one of the best to play at A&M, and in the SEC it feels like he's been there forever. Do Kellen Mond and A&M and the Aggies take care of business against a young, maybe inexperienced North Carolina team?
I think they do, and I think it has the potential to be a long night for North Carolina. North Carolina has a ton of opt-outs, starters that have opted out. And A&M really has none at all. The last time I looked, I didn't think they had any opt-outs. But, like you said, Texas A&M looking to prove something. Being number 5, they're going to come in with that chip on their shoulder. And just the way that they play, they're just like a hard-nosed, old-school football team. They're built on their offensive and defensive lines, and they just bully people and just push them around. They're not real flashy, but you don't have to be a great football team, and that's what Texas A&M is.
Ralph, we'll throw it back to you now. I want to say that you do have Sam Howell, and he is a phenomenal player. To me, he's going to be one of the top 5 quarterbacks taken next year. If he elevates his play next year, he could be the top one. Who knows? But North Carolina is a young, inexperienced team. This, to me, will not be the last time we see them in a New Year's Six game over the next 5 years. But does A&M just have the experience? Are they just going to come out on top on this one, you feel like?
Well, I think Will did the best with Texas A&M. A&M had like an offensive line that's been playing with each other for 2 to 3 years now. But North Carolina's a team you don't overlook. I mean, Sam Howell has done some things that are pretty remarkable. If you look at some of his games this past year, I mean, some of his stats are incredible, especially against Wake Forest a few weeks ago. But yeah, A&M's just team, they're too good. I think they're very talented. Only lost to Alabama beginning of the year. I feel like if they play Alabama, maybe end of the season, it might have been a closer game too. But yeah, I like A&M this game. I think Kellen Mond found his play. It took him 4 years to find it, but he finally did. And I like A&M in this game. It won't be a blowout. It won't be anything spectacular. I think it'd be a hard-nosed game, just back and forth. But I think A&M pulls it out at the end.
Yeah, I think this is, like I said, not the last time we're going to see North Carolina in this spot. This is a team that, to me, is the de facto, take Notre Dame out of the equation, the number 2 team in the ACC. That proved that with their big blowout victory over Miami, not only just for recruiting purposes, but for what this program has done. Credit to Mac Brown. He's turned this program around from 2 wins 2 seasons ago to the Orange Bowl, which for the ACC, that's your bowl game you want to go to. If you're in the SEC, you want to make the Sugar Bowl. If you're in the Pac-12 or Big Ten for years, it seemed like you want to go to the Rose Bowl. So for the ACC, this is it. This is really good for them. I think A&M, listen, and they're going to be playing ticked off. Like, they're going to be playing mad because they felt like they should have gotten in. I think A&M is not going to be light. I think it could this could be a high-scoring game. It really could. Now, A&M's defense is much improved over the past couple of years, but I think North Carolina could put up 25, 30 points in this one and still lose by like 15 or 20 points. I mean, this could be one of those games where you see a lot of points going on. Before we get to the latter half of the show, we have some breaking news that is coming out, and it came out about 2 hours ago, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but I'm going to put it up here. Ryan Helinski is going to transfer from South Carolina. I want to get your thoughts on this because for South Carolina, now you find yourself in a situation where you don't have a quarterback. You really, I mean,
that's not true.
Well,
that's not true.
Well,
that's not true. Luke Doty, when he got the reins, when he got the keys toward the end of the season, he looked really good.
They're just waiting on Gunnar Stockton to get there.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess so. Helinski leaves due to the coaching change he announced. You got to think the love child of Steven Garcia and Jake Fromm is leaving, and Colin Hill. But this is Doty's job now. There's no doubt about it. He's got the job. I don't know the quarterback's depth, but for you to see Helinski leave and everything, how do you see that affecting, Will, kind of what they want to do going forward?
Like I said, they have Luke Doty. He played really well at the end of the year this past year, so I don't think it changes a whole lot what they're going to do. And Shane Beamer has already said he's going to keep Mike Bobo as the offensive coordinator and quarterbacks coach. So to me, it seems like there's going to be no really transition at all.
Ralph, I'm going to throw it back to you now. What do you think, and how do you see, maybe South Carolina going forward? They're going to have a new coach. They're going to have a new coaching staff. I'll ask you this. And this is right off the cuff, Helinski, where could he end up? Where could he possibly go?
Oh, Lord. There's a lot of places he could go, and I'm just thinking through my head as fast as possible. And I know it's a weird transfer for him, but since they are losing a quarterback next year, more than likely, is A&M a bad landing spot for him?
I don't know. I mean,
I don't
think they allow the transfer within the SEC. I mean, that's going to be the only thing. If they say, yeah, you can transfer within the SEC, maybe. I don't know.
Can we throw Matthew Lane's comment up there real quick? Utah State Community College.
Yes, Matthew, here we go. Utah State Community College. Matthew, thank you. We appreciate it. Matthew, do you even care where Ryan Helinski goes? I don't.
Matthew Lang is a proven huge South Carolina Gamecocks fan.
Yeah, Matthew Lang, one of the big South Carolina Gamecocks fans. I like the profile picture over there on Twitter as well that you got Matthew going on. Matthew then goes, no one does. Okay, we appreciate it, Matthew. Thank you so much for the comments.
Matthew does bring up a good point. I know it was kind of tongue-in-cheek, Utah State Community College, but Linsky is a West Coast guy, so he'll probably go back out to the West Coast.
Well, he is a West Coast guy, obviously the familiarity, but it's interesting to see South Carolina's lost 2 quarterbacks in the past 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and maybe that's due to some coaching changes, some coaching maneuvers. They brought in Bobo. But we're going to take a look once again. We do have another comment I want to bring in here. Josh Folds says that he really doesn't like that they will allow guys to opt out. It really comes back to hurt teams losing these big stars in big games. Josh, I'm with you on that one. I think this is a tough thing when you see teams, they go into that, but it talks about the focus we talked about on Monday. As a team going into one of these big bowl games, you really, really have to know and you have to discipline your team to say, listen, Kirby Smart's done it, Nick Saban's done it, Dabo Swinney's done it. Georgia learned the hard way 2 years ago when they brought Justin Fields, when they brought DeAndre Baker to New Orleans for the Sugar Bowl and they weren't playing. That was a big part of it. But I don't love the opt-out. I'm with you on that one. We got another comment from Matthew here. Only Will would make something out of that comment. Will, yeah, you know, I love it, Matthew. Will's the only one who would bring it. Let's take a look real quick here. We're going to throw up a sneak preview as we head to a little bit of a commercial, to the new commercial that's going to be airing on Monday. This is a freebie for them. So we're going to air this one. When we come back, 30 seconds, you're going to see who's the brand new sponsor of the Crowded Booth.
Cook's Place began serving our signature hot dogs in 1985 from a cart on Broadway. We still serve the best hot dogs and scrambled dogs in town at the corner of Moon and Miller Road and at the landings. Our friendly staff won't let you leave hungry. Come in and eat to the beat with our 50s jukebox. Cook's Place, fast service, great people, awesome food. What are you waiting for?
Oh, baby.
I know
What
we
a
just ate,
commercial.
but I'm hungry now.
We just ate, but we didn't eat there. We can't say. But that is the official sponsor. Cook's Hot Dogs is going to be the official sponsor of the Crowded Booth starting in 2021. That's going to be the first one. If you're interested, email us at thecrowdedbooth.com about any advertising opportunities. It's going to be a ton of fun to help support local business here in the Columbus and Chattahoochee Valley area. Let's take a look at the Rose Bowl being played in Arlington, Texas. I listen, the Rose Bowl, you lost out because of complete negligence on allowing fans to be there. And so I don't think we should even call it the Rose Bowl. You shouldn't be presented with a trophy. It should be whatever. They should have gave it to the Cotton Bowl. And yeah, it's just whatever. It's very disappointing to see how it was handled. But Alabama is going to be playing Notre Dame. Now, guys, we're covering this one first because this is the first one on the docket. And thank God this is not the primetime game. Will, I don't know what the spread on this game is, but I don't even think it matters. Is it?
It's a lot.
All I want to know, is it going to be as bad as the 2012 BCS National Championship game or 2013 BCS National Championship game when Alabama destroyed Notre Dame? What
was the score of that game?
49
45-10, I believe.
49-10, 45-10. Is this game going to be competitive? I mean, let's just be honest. Will, we'll start with you. Does Notre Dame even have a chance against an Alabama team that's one of the best in recent memory?
Notre Dame is going to have to do what no other team has done this year and make Alabama beat themselves a little bit. They're going to have to create some turnovers, and Alabama has not turned the ball over really at all this year. You asked if it's going to be competitive, maybe for about a quarter and a half, and then we'll see Alabama start rolling, do what they do. I mean, this is kind of the same story as it is every year when you're playing Alabama. You have to have elite quarterback play. I don't really think Ian Book is elite. He's close. He's probably the next tier down from elite, but this one can get ugly.
It can get ugly, no doubt about it. Let's see. We already got some – Matthew Lang is commenting all over the place. Matthew, we appreciate it. This game will be over in the first quarter. I completely agree. Bama's entire team could opt out and still win this game. And then actually the point spread is 20 points, and Bama is obviously favorite. Ralph, for you, how do you feel about this game? I mean, anything that Will did not say. I mean, what are your thoughts?
I mean, at Bama, you have three guys who could probably win the Heisman right now. I think you should go ahead and get to their whole entire offense, for one. Mac Jones has proven that he is what he is, and he's a very good quarterback. He has the best wide receiver in the country in Devontae Smith, and he has the best running back in the country with Najee Harris. There's not much Alabama can't do offensively. I mean, there's a lot of things they can do defensively.
I'm going to cut you off real quick because we have a special guest joining the show. Matthew Lane is on the show. He's live from his van. Matthew is on the move here. Now, Matthew, I interrupted Ralph to ask you this. You got Bama as the heavy favorite. Do they even have a chance? I mean, why is this game even being played?
This game will be over with before the first quarter ends.
First quarter end. How many over under 400 passing yards for Mac Jones?
I don't think he'll play long enough to get 400.
Over under 100 passing yards for Bryce Young. How about that?
I think Devontae Smith will have 3 touchdowns in the first half.
3 touchdowns, and
are they all receiving touchdowns, or is one
all
like
receiving, or what's he going to do? Is he going to punt return? What's he going to do?
Whatever he wants to do.
Are you driving right now?
Nah, I'm stopped. We're safe over here.
We're safe over here. Where are you calling from today?
I'm calling from our storage unit right now, actually.
You're just down the road from my house. Hunter Green comes in contact. This is the first time I've seen Matthew all year. Matthew, we appreciate you coming on. I'll let you go ahead and talk about the next game. The next game we got going on is going to be the Sugar Bowl. This is kind of the bigger one, prime time, Clemson, Ohio State. Is this game going to be as close as it was last year, or the struggles for Ohio State? Matthew, we'll let you go first so you don't kill yourself trying to get out of there. Is this game going to be as close as it was last year, or is Ohio State struggles going to continue?
I think the past couple of games that I've watched, Clemson, I really noticed how much Justin Fields kind of struggles to read the defense. He doesn't go through his progressions that well. He kind of stares down the receiver. If he doesn't, he rolls out of the pocket. He lets the pocket collapse on him. There's just certain things I think he needs to progression, just staying in the pocket and going through his reads. I think that's something that he really needs to work on. His athleticism alone is going to bail him out of a lot of plays and a lot of games, and you saw it last year with Clemson. Although I feel like he even looked better last year. So I don't know what the deal is with Fields. Like I said, I mean, I think Ohio State's going to keep it close. They're going to get some of their playmakers back on the wide receiving core, but I'm definitely going to take Clemson. I like them. I think Trevor Lawrence is playing with a chip on his shoulder right now because obviously Bama's the talk. They're the best team in the league, hands down. But, I think Clemson's going to come out with a chip on their shoulder. I think they're going to eventually roll away with this game and win probably by like 17 or 20 points, but I definitely like Clemson to win.
Yeah, I think Clemson just has way too much offensively. And I think, too, Trevor Lawrence, in a weird way, is playing with a chip on his shoulder. This is a guy who nobody's talked about his opportunity to win the Heisman. I mean, other than Dabo, no one's talked about it. And I think Trevor Lawrence is de facto he's going to be the number 1 pick. He's going to be a Jacksonville Jaguar. There's no doubt about it. He's probably happy about that.
Can we pause real quick?
Yes.
How dumb are the New York Jets? Like, they can't even lose correctly.
Listen, they're professionals.
They can't even lose correctly.
Hey.
They're about to miss out on a future Hall of Fame quarterback.
Up here.
Okay, so I want to ask you
move.
this, and I'll ask you this. We'll get in this conversation, too, because, well, let's answer this comment real quick. Josh Folds comes back in. The committee gave Notre Dame their burial papers in this game. Should have let A&M in and gave Notre Dame a better shot at winning in a bowl game outside of the playoffs. A&M already lost once. And so I'm okay with how they did it, I guess, because to me it doesn't matter. And we talked about this on the show on Monday, Matthew. 1 and 2, there's just such a gap between 1 and 2 and everybody else. To me, it doesn't matter who you put 3 and 4. I mean, that's just how I feel about it. Maybe Clemson is challenge somebody, but man, Alabama. I think Clemson will be able to throw the ball in Alabama, and that's who I'm giving the win to. Clemson's going to beat. Clemson's going to win, and then Notre Dame will fall to Alabama. I think Trevor Lawrence will throw the ball in Alabama. I don't think their secondary is very, very strong. It's probably the weakest part of a very, very, very good team. But I will ask you this question, and this will be something we'll get into now as we wrapped up the college football talk. Who do the Jets take now? Like, what do you do? Do you take Sewell, and then correct me if I'm wrong on his name, but the offensive tackle from Oregon to shore up and you roll with Sam Darnold? Do you take the little white guy from BYU, Zach Wilson? Or, I mean, what do you do with the number 2 pick now if you're sitting there knowing at 3 is Miami, they're not picking a quarterback, and 4 is going to be Atlanta, who could pick a quarterback or could opt to go a different route? Who are the Jets picking?
Is this for me or somebody else answering this?
It's for anybody. Go ahead. I don't care. It doesn't matter. This is a free-for-all.
Dude, the Jets just have so many holes on their team. I mean, I guess I would go with the quarterback if I were them. But here's Here's the thing, dude. I personally believe Matt Jones is he's debatably second or third best quarterback. I'll personally take him over Fields. I've seen better throws from him. I've seen his football IQ. His football IQ is off the charts. He reads coverages very well. He can throw it to the far hash on a dime. He knows how to win, and so I would personally, I think he's going to be the surprise QB in this draft. Obviously, Trevor Lawrence is head and shoulders above everybody else, but I really like Matt Jones. If I'm the Jets, I don't think I can roll with Sam Darnold. I don't think he's ever going to make them have a push into the playoffs. But then again, you got to have some type of protection on the offensive and defensive line. So if I were them, I'd probably go with Sewell, or however you pronounce his name, offensive tackle from Oregon. I'd probably go with him first.
Well, and two, you got to think too, they drafted Mekhi Becton last year, so they have one size shored up. If you get Sewell, then you've essentially bookended your offensive line and hope that Darnold can do something. Now, the next step for me is you got to get wide-eyed Adam Gase out of the coach's chair, because that guy is hands down one of the worst NFL coaches I have ever seen in my life.
They're leaking out that he's going to be fired once the season's over.
There's no way he stays. Okay, so who and God forbid they bring in like Dan Quinn to be the head coach of the Jets, but I think if you do go with Sewell, then you can bookend. If not, Darnold may get moved somewhere, and who knows, a change of scenery and a better coaching staff and a better offensive line, and maybe, I don't know if Darnold's ever going to be a top 5 quarterback. I'm not saying that, but could he be a serviceable playoff caliber quarterback on a very, very good team? Yeah, but I don't think he can do it by himself. Matthew, that was fun. We appreciate it. We're wrapping up the show. That's the end of the show. Join us again live from your van as you travel and deliver all the goods that need to be delivered. Matthew, I'll say this. Who do you have? Georgia, Cincinnati. I'm just curious.
Georgia. Honestly,
and Georgia's wearing black, right?
Yeah, they're wearing black. I'm actually going to go to the game on Friday.
Okay.
But we have a couple of guys off now, but not guys that are like crucial to our team. I'm really excited to see. I think Keely Ringo. I've heard that he's going to be dressing out and playing in this game. So I'm excited to see guys like him, like some of our top recruits that we haven't been able to see play all year. And I just like to see our offense play. I want to see how they finish out the year against a good defense. I think this is JT's first real test against a good defense. So I'm interested to see how he's going to play against them. I think he'll be just fine. I think you'll see Monken open up the playbook a little bit against Cincinnati. Maybe see a couple trick plays, maybe like a flea flicker on the first drive. So we'll see. But
much like the flea flicker, you and I can appreciate this one that from Fromm to Chubb, back to Fromm to Godwin, that began the 2017 national championship run that ended with heartbreak. Awesome. Matthew, we appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, man. We'll talk to you again later.
All right, see ya.
Guys, that was a lot of fun. We should just open up invitations the rest of the show forever and let people join. I'll get you guys' take on this because Matthew talked about a lot about this. We'll go back to the Sugar Bowl, Clemson versus Ohio State. For you guys, how do you feel on this one? Ralph, I'll go to you first. Clemson, Ohio State. I think Matthew hit a nail on the head. Something's just off with Fields this year, and it seems like Ohio State's just a little bit behind maybe where they typically are. If Ohio State's at full strength, this to me is possibly the best possible playoff matchup you could have outside of Alabama playing one of these two teams. For you, Ralph, who's going to win this one, and why do you feel like they have the advantage?
I think you give it Clemson easily. Clemson definitely has a better defense. Trevor Lawrence is probably – he's a step way. I don't know how many steps above Fields he is right now, but he definitely is. Fields just hasn't looked himself this year. Now, that's because he's been kind of playing in a weird situation with no fans. I understand that probably won't play in that big of a factor, but you're playing in front of no fans and you don't have that height after scoring a big touchdown. He struggled against Indiana. There's 3 interceptions. Not a bad Indiana team this year. A very good one. He struggled against Northwestern, who is probably the best defense in the Big Ten. And I don't know what's wrong with him this year. I'm saying this. He had a pretty good season for 6 games? 6 games. I think they played 6 games, so I don't give Clemson the easy win. It's still going to be a good game. You can't count out Justin Fields. He's a very good player, very good athlete. They have great athletes in that team. They have 2 very talented running backs.
Mm-hmm.
We saw that. We saw that in the bowl game. We saw Trey Sermon run the ball very well against Northwestern. So I don't know what else I'd say about this game. Trevor Lawrence is going to do what he always does best, and he's going to win. You got his payback against Notre Dame in the ACC championship game. So Clemson wins this game. I don't believe it's going to be a lackluster victory. I think it's going to be somewhere where you go. It's going to be back and forth. Ohio State may take the lead eventually one part of the game, and Clemson storms back and wins it. I don't know. It could be any way though.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll throw it to you now. Ralph kind of hit the nail on the head. Lawrence is just a winner. I mean, that's just what he is. I mean, he's everywhere he's been, from high school at Cartersville up in North Georgia to Clemson. I mean, he's just a winner. Is this a game where are we just destined for another heavyweight showdown between Clemson and Alabama, just to watch these two dynasties just duke it out once again?
I'm not sure. I think this is going to be a really close game. Like y'all have talked about, Justin Fields hasn't been great this year, but I think he's too good to count him out. Mm-hmm. The old saying is great players play great in big games, and this is a big game. It's time for Justin Fields to show up. But I think I said it on last week's show. Ohio State, to me, is a real complete team. They have a really good defense. They run the ball really well, like Ralph mentioned. So this is not going to be a cakewalk for Clemson at all. Clemson, they struggled against Notre Dame the first game and kind of rolled over in the second game. But we've seen Clemson, when they face good defenses in years past, they struggle. They get off to slow starts, and they keep teams in the game. I think Clemson will pull it out, but I wouldn't be surprised if Ohio State comes away with a victory.
And I agree with you on that one. Justin Fields is way too much of a talent to just lay down. This is not going to be, and like Ralph said too, it's not going to be some lackluster effort on that part of Ohio State. This is not going to be a 41-10 win. Yeah. If that happens, then we've seen one of the most unreal performances or one of the worst performances ever. But I think for Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to lean towards Clemson just because of Trevor Lawrence. But I am with you. The only reason Clemson went to the national championship last year is because of a botched call. It's the only one. That was a fumble, and Ohio State should have made their way to a national title game. Now, last year wouldn't have mattered if Jesus Christ would have came down and played against LSU. Joe Burrow and themselves had made a deal with the devil and were going to win. There's no doubt about it.
I do want to say one thing, and I'll just make it real quick. If we do see Clemson win this game, we're talking about Trevor Lawrence going 3 for 3 to a national championship game. Now, will he win 2 of them? I don't know. But in your 3 years in college, you make it to the national championship in three times. Mm-hmm. That's pretty dominant right there. That's all.
It is dominant, and I think that begs the question. I was going to wrap the show up here, but I think I'm going to talk about one more thing, if it's okay with you guys.
Yeah.
Is it okay with you, Will? Is that all right?
It's good. Yeah.
Oh, it's good.
Let's go.
That brings me to the question of the Heisman Trophy, and I think this is something we really haven't touched on. But when you look and you see what these teams and these guys, now the finalist makes sense, okay? Mm-hmm. Trask, Lawrence, Devontae Smith, and Mac Jones. All of them have been fantastic. The AP Player of the Year was named last night, and it was Devontae Smith. Now, usually that can tend to be an indication of the player who's not going to win the Heisman gets that nod. Now, I don't know. I think Devontae Smith has a fantastic case. I would love to see him win the Heisman Trophy. He's by far, I talked on this with the podcast to preview the SEC Championship with Gray Robertson, who's a radio voice for Alabama, and he said he's not like past Alabama receivers. He's not Calvin Ridley, who has unreal route running. He's not Julio Jones, who's a physical specimen. He's not Amari Cooper, who has crazy jumping ability. He's not like Jerry Jeudy, who can run, or not Kenyon Drake, but Jalen Waddle, who can run with anybody. He's just a normal guy, but he does everything so well. And I think that's what makes it crazy. When you look at this and you say, oh, yeah, Mac Jones, contrast, Trevor Lawrence is going to be the number 1 pick come April. He's the best player to me in college football. There's no doubt about it. He's the best player in college football. Now, this season, I don't know if it's been able to showcase that because of you had to play in conference only. You did get the marquee game with Notre Dame. But outside of that, I'm not really sure. When you look at the Heisman race, and I'm not even exactly sure when they're announcing the award. I need to make sure of that. I think it's this upcoming week, I'm sure, or something like that very soon. What do you guys? What do you think, or what? Who? You could just flip a coin and give it to any of these guys. They played so well all season. But Will, we'll start with you. Who kind of gets your nod if you had a Heisman vote?
Well, my vote would be going to Devontae Smith, no doubt about it. The Heisman is a single-season award, and I think that Devontae Smith has had the best season of anybody in college football. Like you said, Trevor Lawrence, probably the best player. He's had the best college career of anybody playing this year. So, yeah, he's going to be the number one pick, no doubt about it. But the best season to me has been Devontae Smith, and I don't even think it's really close.
See, Matthew right there has already put in his part. If you don't think Devontae, which, aside from spelling Devontae incorrectly.
He needs to look up how to spell his name.
But I agree with Matthew. I don't know what the award means anymore. I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Ralph, we'll throw it over to you now. Who gets your Heisman vote? If you have one. Now, don't get us wrong. Ralph does not have a Heisman vote. Not yet, at least. But, Ralph, who gets your Heisman vote?
I mean, yeah, I had to get Devontae Smith. He had a great year. I would have given it to Jalen Waddle this year, probably more than anything. I'm sorry, looking at Matthew's next comment, which probably don't throw that up there. Actually,
no, it's not. No,
I would give it to Devontae Smith. That's just because he's had the most spectacular year. 98 catches in 11 games is incredible against all SEC teams. But then I'm just going to give an argument for Kyle Trask. Kyle Trask had an unbelievable season, 4,000 yards, 43 touchdowns, and only 5 interceptions.
In 11 games?
In 11 games, all against SEC teams. He played against Alabama. He played against LSU. Lost LSU. You also played against Georgia and A&M. I mean, I know we're going to get Devontae Smith. I like Devontae Smith. I think he's the best player in the country, non-quarterback wise. But if we're going and most times it's always been like stats wise, people are like, oh, his stats are incredible, like Joe Burrow last year. Kyle Trask did it in less games than most people did all year. So it's just an argument for Kyle Trask, but I believe it will be Devontae Smith.
We got a comment from our good buddy Blake Robinson, who found us over on YouTube. Blake, we appreciate you tuning in. We missed you the last episode. He said Trevor Lawrence gets his Heisman vote, and Matthew Lang went with Devontae Smith. And I think he said NFL money will prove Trevor is the best by a long shot. 110% agree. 110% agree. But I'll go back to what Will said. It's the best individual season. Who was the best player on the best team? If that's usually what they say. And I'm going to tell you one thing, man. Devontae Smith, what he's done, I want to see a wide receiver win this. It's become just what seems just like a quarterback award every single year. And occasionally running back, but that's what they have the Maxwell Award for, and all these other awards to award those guys. I'm going to give
the Heisman winner to me should go to probably the most explosive, most unguardable, undefendable offensive player. Now there are defensive players that could be worthy of the Heisman Trophy in given years, but I mean Devontae Smith. You could triple team that guy, and he's somehow going to catch the ball. He's going to get separation. He's going to get the space. He's going to do that. He might be the best receiver I've ever seen in college.
And I think
too, the play he makes this past year, and that should just speak for it right there.
And I think too, Will, you pointed out on the Twitter beef between the two guys we had on the podcast a couple weeks ago to preview the SEC championship. You got to have a quarterback to throw the ball. And listen, Mac Jones is going to me. He's going to make a lot of money in the NFL, like he is. He's got the prototypical size. I mean, I'd put money on him being an NFL. I'm not saying a top 5 quarterback, but a good NFL. He'll start in the NFL. I want him on the Falcons. I think he's Matt Ryan 2.0. But you tell me this. When you look at all these guys in there, I mean, Trask has had a fantastic year, 4,000 yards. That reminds me of a certain person in a certain group message who said Bo Nix would have 4,000 yards and was completely wrong in that facet, but likes to tweet things out. So
I just want to put it out there. That was not me. I did not.
No. It was not the guy all the way over to my left.
It wasn't me either.
Yeah,
so.
This way. It was not Ralph either. But I think when you look and see who gets my Heisman vote, I'm going to go with Devontae Smith. I want him to win it. I think it's awesome to see what he's done. Listen, he's provided a nightmare. Even Kirby Smart said that, I'm not saying this because what he's done to our team. I'm just saying because he's flat out unguardable. You can't do anything with him. You think about some of the guys that he's faced and move away from the shoe gate and all these things. The team he's faced, Georgia, who was thought to have an elite defense, he torched that secondary. Eric Stokes, who's going to be probably a first-round pick. Tyson Campbell, who if it doesn't go this year, will go next year, and possibly a first-round or second-round pick. Those are 2 NFL-caliber corners he just made look silly. Richard LeCount, an all SEC type of player. He made him look silly on a very memorable 85-yard touchdown grab that was really like a 15-yard, 10-yard route that he turned in 75 yards later to a touchdown. Blake, we're going to bring you back in here. Mullen really helped Trask. I think so. I think Dan Mullen helped elevate. This is a guy in Kyle Trask who, correct me if I'm wrong, he didn't even start in high school.
Nope.
He didn't even start, maybe his senior year. So, listen, the Heisman Trophy ceremony, usually year in, year out, seems being, like Ralph said, a mixture of, is a mixture of, I got to read this comment, a quarterback, and occasionally running back. And it's always said, well, what are the stats and all that stuff as well. We're going to get back to Devontae Smith here as we round out the show. Blake, so you guys think Jets should pick Devontae Smith with the second pick? I'm going to tell you one thing. That is a reach. Now, the last wide receiver that got picked that high, I don't want to go out on a limb here because I'm trying to remember. I knew Julio was picked with the number 6 pick. Justin Blackmon was picked very, very, very high by Jackson.
I want to say he was picked 13th, though. I could be wrong, though.
I'm not sure. Well, I know Julio was a top 10 pick because they traded an arm and a leg to the Browns for a top 10 pick. But we'll go back to that topic real quick, and listen, we like doing this because this is what you guys like to see.
My bad.
You go back to the Jets with the number 2 pick. Listen, if you bring in Devontae Smith, the Jets desperately need wide receivers. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, man. I don't know if you can go with the second pick and where you have so many holes you can say, yeah, wide receivers where we got to go.
Now,
I mean, to me, you either got to take Sewell or you got to trade out of it and try to get a quarterback later. I don't think you take Mac Jones with the second pick. I would trade maybe to 7 or 8 and take Jones. But I don't know. What do you guys think? We'll go back to Blake's comment on that one comment. Would any of you like to answer him directly?
Yeah, I have one just real quick. I don't take Devontae Smith at 2. I would trade down a few picks and let someone take a quarterback at number 2 and get Smith at that 5 or 6 spot. Just because he's a top tier talent not to have on your team. And missing out on him for being your number 1 receiver next year would be awful. So now if they stay number 2 and take the offensive tackle from Oregon, not trying to pronounce his name, if they take him, not a bad pick at all. But you got to get some help on the help Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's a good quarterback. He has no help on receivers though. He's got a 40-year-old running back too. So what do you want him to do?
Yeah. Guys, we're running out of time here. We're going to have to cut the show short. Blake Robinson said true. Blake, we appreciate you finding us over on YouTube, man. Make sure to follow us on Twitter and on Facebook and Instagram as well. Will, what you got?
I just want to throw in there, I think there is a wide receiver at number 2 that the Jets could take that everybody's kind of forgot about because he didn't play this year. Jamar Chase.
Ooh.
I think Jamar Chase is worthy of a top 5 pick. But I'm with Ralph. I would work to trade down. Because we know teams will give up an arm and a leg to move up into the top 3. And if you don't, just take Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
Well, guys, look, I appreciate it. We hope everyone here watching, we appreciate you sticking with us here in 2020. Make sure to sign up today. thecrowdedbooth.com for the latest articles. We got some recruit interviews, some previews, some recaps. And Will's going to have everything covered on the Auburn front as well as we get ready for 2021. Remember, catch us live Mondays and Wednesdays. We're going to either go 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock. Still trying to figure out that time slot. And then Fridays, we'll be launching a podcast. We're going to be on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and over on SoundCloud. We appreciate it, guys. Thank you for tuning in. And Blake and Matthew, we appreciate you joining the show. That was a lot of fun. And I think Brian Mushan just threw up a comment as well. Brian, we'll lead off with yours next show on Monday. We'll go 4 or 5 o'clock. We'll let you know. Make sure to follow us on social media so you know. Thanks, everybody. Have a great, happy New Year.